Good day, everyone. We will discuss the topic of artificial life and puzzle games for today. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to learn about the following: artificial life games and genetic life generators, exploring the subgenre of God games, definition of puzzle games, and creating and simplifying puzzle games. Artificial life games. Artificial life, or A-life as it is sometimes called, involves modeling biological processes, often to simulate the life cycles of living things. Because they're intended for entertainment rather than research, commercial A-life games implement only a subset of what A-life research investigates. Typically, A-life games focus on maintaining and growing a manageable population of organisms, each of which is unique. Artificial pets make up one subcategory of artificial life games. These simulated animals live on your device, either in an environment of their own or on your desktop. The pet needs to have quite a lot of AI, a variety of things that stimulate it and behaviors that it exhibits. An artificial pet should have a number of emotions or moods that manifest themselves through the pet's behavior. Because an artificial pet doesn't present much of a challenge or impose a victory condition, it's really a software toy rather than a game. In The Sims 3, each sim has 6 needs that they must meet on an ongoing basis: hunger, hygiene, bladder, energy level, fun, and social interaction. Although the needs management system is fairly simple, that doesn't mean that the creature's AI will be easy to implement. The Sims in the original game have 6 skills: cooking, repair, charisma, physical strength and dexterity, logic, and creativity. These skills influence the jobs that they can take and the amount of money that they can earn. In the first The Sims game, 5 key characterization attributes define each Sim's personality: neat, outgoing, active, playful, and nice. These determine how Sims react to one another and whether they're likely to get along. The Sims likely owes its huge success to 2 things: the unprecedented scope for creativity it offers and its emphasis on interpersonal relationships. In a God game, the player's power derives from a population of simulated worshippers or artificial characters that the player must nurture and care for. God games use an omnipresent interaction model and an aerial perspective. The player's power, usually called mana, grows along with the number and prosperity of their worshippers. The size of the population typically influences the maximum amount of mana the player may have and the rate at which mana is restored when it is below maximum. The primary challenge in a God game is to produce population growth, but the player cannot defeat the rival god simply by helping the population. They must also do damage to the other god's worshippers, while repairing the damage that the rival god does to the player's people. To create a game in which you crossbreed creatures and get new, unique individuals, you need to devise a genome, a set of descriptors that define all the important characteristics of the creature. Mutation is a change to a gene that occurs as a result of some environmental factor. For the purposes of your game, you probably don't want to allow lethal mutations, those that produce miscarriages or stillborn offspring. Each of your creatures needs a natural lifespan for your population to evolve through natural selection. Your creatures need a period of immaturity, when they are infertile, followed by a period of maturity, when they are fertile. A genetic A-life game might not seem to have much for the player to do except wind it up and watch it go. A closer look shows a fair number of ways the player can interact with the creatures. Puzzle games. In puzzle games, puzzle solving is the primary activity, though puzzles may occur within a storyline or lead up to some larger goal. The types of puzzles offered include recognizing patterns, making logical deductions, or understanding a process. To be a commercial success, a puzzle game needs to be challenging, visually attractive, and above all, enjoyable. Scott Kim's 8 Steps, find inspiration can come from sources like games, art, stories, or play dynamics. Simplify, identify the core skill, eliminate irrelevant details, make pieces uniform, and then simplify the controls. Create a construction set, building a prototype to test features and rules. Define the rules. Puzzles are characterized by the board, pieces, moves, and goal. Construct the puzzles. Good puzzles require insight that is not too obscure. Test tells the difficulty and the fun of puzzles. Devise a sequence, ordering the puzzles in a sequence that motivate the player to complete the whole game. Pay attention to presentation. After polishing the puzzles, the aesthetics should also be considered. Computers add these useful features, lets players do non-physical actions and simultaneous actions. Uses computing power to generate puzzles, solutions, and hints. Make sure to enforce the rules and avoid player mistakes. Allows for recording and undoing of moves. Allows you to present the experience in a particular order. Inclusion of tutorial modes. Uses sound and animations to make puzzles more interesting. Allows for online play for competition modes. When your game checks to see whether the player solved the puzzle, you should test only to see whether the player met the victory condition, not that they have done it in the expected way. Sometimes games contain bugs that allow a player to cheat and reach a solution by a means that's completely outside the rules. When the software checks the victory condition in your game, be sure it checks the solution state that you told the player to achieve, not the way in which they achieved it. Summary. An A-Life game can be about individuals and relationships, or it can be a simulation of an ecosystem. To design this type of game, you must consider how the simulation will run and ways that the player will interact with it. Puzzle games provide the player with hours of strategy and problem solving. You'll need to provide a game that combines high-quality presentation with well-thought-out game mechanics and interaction. The material used for this lesson was taken from Chapter 20 of the book, Fundamentals of Game Design. Second edition by Ernest Adams. Thanks for listening.